Drivers, to your cars.
We're falling apart. The entire time, I absolutely forgot to switch over to this scene in the actual NR, but it's okay. Sorry that took a little bit longer than usual, but welcome to race number 5 of the NRLOA McDonald's Cup Series. Here at the Auto Club Speedway for the running of the Auto Club 400 here in Fontana, California. We go from the half-mile concrete short track of Bristol Motor Speedway to this 2-mile facility that has produced nothing but absolutely amazing racing all the way around because of the older pavement that this racetrack does have to offer. So we're going to see a lot of these drivers slip sliding around. We're going to see a lot of side-by-side racing, some good side-by-side racing at that. But of course, we're going to see something that we didn't really see too much of at Bristol. A lot of the drivers are going to be spread out as well. So it's going to make for some good racing. We might not have a yellow flag. We're just going to have to wait and see, but it's also good. But because of those maybe potential caution-free, this race being caution-free, there is a potential of that. It does create for some interesting pit strategy. So, I mean, it should be interesting. I think the pit window should be about 25 to 28 laps, give or take. But it should be pretty fun to watch nonetheless. So, do apologize if I'm just kind of botching this up left and right. You know, I'm doing the absolute best that I can. But let's go ahead and take a look at your point standings. There it is right there after Bristol, which was honestly, yes, very abysmal. But with John Andrews' win being declared the winner after the halfway point, he takes over the points lead, dethroning BB Hange with 115 points in the bank. That's how many points BB Hange has. 1 point back, that is Mitchell O'Brien with 114. Tyler Belladonna with 110. Val Mosco with 109. So far, those are our only 4 winners on the season. 4 races, 4 different winners. We could be on track for 5 here. We're just going to have to wait and see. Then we have Skylar Taylor with 103, actually with Edson Hernandez and Will Parrish in a 3-way tie. But due to Google Sheet physics, Skylar Taylor will be put in the 6th position, then Hernandez 7th, Parrish 8th, Alex Savatali, who's been having himself a very consistently solid season. 95 points in his bank account. He is 9th, and Matt Jones completes the top 10. As we're going to take a look at the rest of your points standings coming in. Sorry, I do apologize. Had a little bit of a phlegm buildup. Oh, you gotta love those phlegm buildups. But you see right there, those are your point standings coming in. We still have a lot of time before it gets a little bit more difficult to progress through the point standings. And as this season goes on, a lot of these points, they are still going to be pretty close to one another. But it is indeed going to be just a little bit more difficult to move your way up. So a lot of these drivers, if they want to start moving up, say for Travis Crampton, 30 points in his bank account. He is 40th in the standings. John Felber, 36th. He's 39th right now. So a lot of those drivers, they are going to have to start competing. They are going to have to start performing. They're going to have to start winning some races if they want to move up inside of the top 10 in the standings. I see Nathan Stapleton down there. Daniel Adams, who starts on pole for this race, this would be very, very beneficial for him because he's also pretty deep in the standings as well. So he could definitely use this as a really good points day to try to move his way up. And if he wins, he could catapult up maybe inside of the top 20 in the standings. We're just going to have to wait and see after 100 laps of action here at the Auto Club Speedway. I am absolutely stuttering upon my words, so I do apologize for that. But I'm doing the absolute best that I can. But that pretty much does it. So there's only one thing left to do. Drivers are strapped in. Pre-race ceremonies are just now starting to wrap up. But in order to get these 42 cars rolling out onto the racetrack, we got to get the command to fire the engines. So let's go trackside to crank up the engines.
Drivers, start your engines!
And there they go. Engines fired, pace car rolls off. So do these 42 drivers. We're just making sure that all 42 do roll off on the track, and so far that is exactly the case. You see there on the front row, as I mentioned, Daniel Adams, who's in a big need of some good points, comes in as the pole sitter. The Matthew Hubert lines up alongside our former points leader, BB Hange. He could be the points leader again, leaving today if he can actually have himself a good run. He starts third, Casey Wells fourth. PJ Vidal completes the top 5. Then you got Skylar Taylor, who's also inside of the top 10 in the standings. They'll also need some good points as well if they want to move up inside of the top 5. They make their way through turns 3 and 4 this time. I'm going to guarantee you something. The difference between here and Bristol, the racing here is going to be so much better. We're not going to have cautions left and right. We're not going to be under yellow lap after lap. We're going to see some good racing all the way around. Daniel Adams and Matthew Hubert have the field in tow. They're going to lead them down to the green flag, and race number 5 here in Fontana is underway. Pretty bunched up as they head down the back straightaway going into turn number 3. Daniel Adams breaks out with the advantage, but we're going to see through all these corners, they're going to go really wide. And just like that right there, we're going to see that as well. Casey Wells just barely scraped the outside wall. And when you just barely kiss the wall, you're going to lose just a lot of momentum. And that's exactly what we're seeing with Casey Wells, who started 4th in this race, just got scored 7th, and now she's going to start dropping back like a rock. But top 3 have all gotten single file for the moment. Adams, Hubert, BB Hange, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Then our 4th place battle between Skylar Taylor and PJ Vidal is on. Will Parrish, Val Moscow going at it. And then you have the Tommy Baldwin cars, Wells and Gronkowski. So far, that is all the battles going on inside of the top 10. Meanwhile, look at this. Edson Hernandez all the way down to the bottom. This racetrack is plenty wide enough for 4 wide. Even plenty wide enough for 5 wide. Maybe even 6 wide. 6 wide is a little too risky here, but plenty wide enough for 4 and 5 wide racing. But I don't think these drivers are going to be wanting to do that this early in the race. They're going to want to try to get as many positions as possible. And then once we get into that green flag run, we're just going to want to start riding. And into the wall goes Bob Floyd. Absolutely scraping up against it. And he's going to start losing a lot of track position there. Was scored 18th when he crossed the stripe this time by. I'm definitely going to guarantee you he lost maybe at least 4 or 5 more positions after that move that was pulled there. But sometimes your car can get a little bit tight there on that, basically on that extreme top side, which is exactly what we're seeing here. A lot of good side-by-side action. Wells into the wall again. So is Bob Floyd, top of your screen. But sometimes these cars, especially when you're up top, they don't really turn all that well. And if you're carrying a little bit too much speed coming out of the corner, especially through turn 4, you're going to wound up scraping that outside wall. That's what we saw quite a few times with Wells. We saw it with Bob Floyd. We saw it with both of them that last lap. So This should be a pretty interesting race. We still have a long way to go. We're coming around to 5 laps complete this time by. Side-by-side battle here between PJ Vidal and BB Hange. Remember, Hange comes in as the runner-up in the standings, so if he can actually get himself a good finish here and hope that John Andrews, who's our current points leader, has himself a bad race, he's going to be the points leader once again. Top 2 are starting to break away here. Our front row, Matthew Hubert and also Daniel Adams, both of them are starting to break out 1-2 at this current moment. And Daniel Adams has led every lap since the drop of the green flag. He's obviously going to get that bonus point for leading a lap. And how about this for Daniel Adams, though? He had a terrible start to the season. Daytona 500, he was multiple laps down. Had some poor finishes left and right. But here we are, race number 5. He starts on the pole. He's led every single lap since the drop of the green flag. And Daniel Adams could be well on his way to his first win here. But it's still I know it's early to say that. But if things kind of pan out the way that they are right now for him, he's on track for his first win of his career and of the season. And could catapult himself inside of the top 20 in the standings. Matthew Hubert, also a great day for him thus far. Sitting in the second position. Very early in this one, but still having himself a great race. Let's check in on our points leader, John Andrews. See him right there with Bob Floyd. Going to try to tuck up right in front of him. Currently sitting in 23rd right now. Not exactly the kind of day that he wanted to start out with. But John Andrews could move up through the field due to some pit strategy, which could be coming up here probably right around lap 25, lap 28. So want to keep an eye out for that once pit stops do come around. 3 wide over there with Stephen Colon on the 24. Matt Jones down on the bottom. And also Floyd up top. They were 3 wide going into 1, but so far coming out of turn 2. Looks like Cologne is going to keep that 24th position as they head back into turn number 3. 3 wide here. Travis Crampton down on the bottom, that 22. Damian Kyle Wood, 38 in the middle, and also up top is Alex Rampus. Give the advantage to Rampus as they cross the stripe. So far, the top on corner exit, especially on the straightaways, is definitely one of the preferred ways to go. But you also want to be careful if you're Travis Crampton, because there's not a lot of grip down at the very bottom, down against the white line. And that's exactly what just happened there. Crampton must have went a little bit too low and realized that there wasn't a lot of grip there, and he lost some time, but not enough to where he could actually lose a lot of momentum. So he is going to fall outside of the top 20 from the looks of things. So he could definitely reset and try it again here. Travis Crampton here at his home track here at the Auto Club Speedway. May not be existing anymore in real life, but it exists forever here on this racetrack and in our hearts. So always happy to come back here and just relive and recreate memories here at Fontana, especially in NR. But right now, Crampton is definitely using the middle to his advantage. That's where a lot of the drivers have been all race long so far. 10 laps complete, now 11. But Crampton trying to move his way up. He's back inside of the top 20. And right around here is where a lot of the drivers would try to run, especially if you're on the bottom. But everybody's sort of running that second, third, maybe fourth groove. Not up against the wall, but more so within the seams right here. And that looks like to be about third or fourth grooves within those seams. That seems to be where that is where all the drivers are running right now. Instead of way down to the bottom, down against the white line, or up against the wall through the corners. That's exactly where Michael Young is right now. He is almost up against the wall. But so far, we have kept it clean and green. here within the first dozen laps, coming around to complete lap 13. Having a bit of a phlegm buildup. Whoa! Pretty close call there with Alex Savatali and Sammy Cars. Savatali got right up on that left rear quarter panel of the 43. I thought he was going to get tight and end up getting a little bit more into the 43 and turning him. But so far, that hasn't been the case. Savatali is definitely going to get the advantage there over the number 43, 34, I think even the 13 as well as they head back into turn 3. And he's going to get it. So move Savatali up into, I want to say that's the now 13th position as he goes after Nathan Stapleton coming across the strike. Moves up to 12th. Casey Wells ended up getting by the number 83 to move up inside of the top 10. That's Sebastian Palmer up ahead of Savatali. Now remember, Alex Savatali, like I mentioned, while we were reviewing points, he has had himself a very consistent season where he's been up there, he's been competing for top 10s and top 15s, but he's been slowly moving up inside of the top 10, top 5 picture. We saw a good glimpse of that at Bristol last week. And right now, Savatali is doing an amazing job here. He's trying to get by Nathan Stapleton. That would be for the... he's trying to retain the 12th position as of right now. But he hasn't been able... But as of right now, unfortunately, he hasn't had a good enough run going through the corners. But Savatali doing himself a really nice job. Nonetheless, he's still doing everything he can to try to make up some ground, try to move up in the points. And he's making all the right moves. He's inside of the top 10 in the standings. Just inside of the top 10. He's about to break triple digits. He will break triple digits here today if he gets a good enough finish. I think he had 95 points coming in. So he'd have to be right in this position, or at least better than, I want to say, man, I can't even remember off the life of me where I think he'd have to finish to break into the triple digits. But he'd have to finish in a spot better than where you get 5 points. I do believe that's where he'd have to finish, but no, well, yeah, of course. I can't math anymore. I've been out of school for so long. But so far, Savatali doing himself a really nice job right now. Let's focus a little bit further up ahead. Got some RCR cars. Nose to tail. Skylar Taylor. Looks like gonna lose 2 more positions. He's gonna fall back to 8th. We've got Chad Gronkowski in that number 36. He's another driver that really needs a good points day. And so far, he's getting it. Now, 18 laps complete. Right now, he's scored 9th at this time. Terry Walker's just broken up inside of the top 10. Walker had himself a pretty solid start to the season, but it kind of fell back in the points standings. And he's definitely going to be wanting a good run. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, who wouldn't? Out of all these 42 cars, who wouldn't want to have a really good run? And so far, for somebody like Terry Walker, he's having himself a good run right now, running up inside of the top 10. He was one of the drivers that ended up dominating Phoenix just earlier in the season before getting wounded up in a wreck with a small handful of laps to go, which ultimately took him out of contention for the race win. And meanwhile, up front, hold on a second. Looks like Will Parrish is making that bottom line work. Gonna try to take over the second position. He does not have a good run on corner exit, so he'll have to tuck in and try again. As they head back to 3 and 4, BB Haynes on the attack on Val Moscow, our Las Vegas winner. Trying to get by. He's gonna take over the 4th position, officially take over 4th. And get clear of the number 88, or Daytona 500 winner on the move. That's BB Haynes. Like I said, at the very beginning of the season. He really has a knack for these crown jewel races. He won the Pumpkin 250 back in 2023. He won the Daytona 500 earlier this year. We've got the Coke 600 coming up later on, back over by Memorial Day weekend, towards the end of May. We've got some time before that race, so he could definitely wind up winning that one once the time comes around. Battle for 5th is on between Dale Johnson II and Moscow. At the stripe, Moscow gets it by just 1/100th of a second. Let's head back down into turn number 1. Johnson's going to take over that 5th spot. But look at this, coming off of turn number 2. Look at that power that Val Moscow gets on corner exit. He just absolutely fires off and gets... So he just got a good enough momentum to where he pulled up to the back bumper of the 95. A lot of drivers going up against the wall there. Let's head off of turn number 4. Just looking through the field. Sometimes we do have some takers. Sometimes we do have some drivers that come down pit road early. So just wanted to make sure that that either that was the case or it wasn't the case. And so far we're still clean and green for the time being. Could have a battle on our hands over here. This is the battle. This would be the battle for 13th. It could be a 5-horse fight for 13th. Nathan Stapleton has it. Cologne is in the best position to get it. And Travis Crampton, Josh Lee going at it. That would be for the 15th position that Lee is trying to get over Crampton. They're still side by side as they come off the corner. And give the advantage to Travis Crampton. He just retained that 15th position, crossing the stripe. And he back down into turn 1. Looking a little bit further back, we got Bob Floyd, Matt Jones going at it. That would be for the 20th spot. And it looks like Bob Floyd's going to get it with that powerful corner exit coming off of turn number 2. He's going to sail it off going into 3. Actually, hold on a second. Pit stops are actually taking place on lap number 24. Looks like we have Michael DeFeo. He was amongst the first that came down the pits. Daniel Adams is going to lead him down into the pits with Will Parrish, Val Moscow, Chad Gronkowski, Dale Johnson. We also have Skylar Taylor, Hernandez. The whole crowd's on pit road, essentially. Just look at this shot right here. I see both walkers in. Roberto Crown Jr., Dorn, Floyd, Wood. Pretty much that's the whole field. Pretty much that is the entire field that just came down pit road, with the exception of Matthew Hubert, who stayed out. He took over the lead, led that lap. He's coming down pit road. Looks like this is the rest of the field that's coming in. Well, that's BB Hange. I see John Andrews back there with Sammy Cars, Josh Lee, Casey Wells, Ryan Durrani. He's going to move into his pit. There's Zachary Fitzwater way back there, the number 9 machine. And I do pretty much believe that just completed our round of green flag stops. Those got wrapped up in a heartbeat. So now these drivers are going to be just a little bit more spread out. And here comes Michael DeFeo on that number 40. Remember, he's got fresh tires. So does everybody else, but his tires are a little bit more worked in. On the flip side of the coin, everybody else's tires are just another lap fresher. But that doesn't make too much of a difference here. DeFeo is going to rocket around the outside. And I believe DeFeo... It's alright, my alarm clock was going off. But DeFeo was shown inside of the top 10. I believe he's going to take over the top position. He does. Michael DeFeo. That was actually some pretty good pit strategy. He takes over the race lead, with Daniel Adams now shown in the second position. Will Parrish third, Val Moscow fourth, Dale Johnson completing the top 5. Then Chad Gronkowski 6th, 7th position belongs to Edson Hernandez. Stephen Colon, 8th. Matthew Huber gets kicked back to 9th. And BB Hange falls back to 10th place. And he'll complete the top 10, crossing the stripe this time by 27 laps complete. Look at that 55, trailing the back bumper of the number 40. Heading down the front straightaway, back down into turn number 1. Heading through turn 2 this time. Adams right in the tire tracks of Michael DeFeo. Will Parrish looking on. Heading down the back straightaway. Working through the bumps, back into turn number 3. Just all over the back bumper. This number 40 now is the number 55 of Daniel Adams, peeking the nose down low. Here he goes to the inside. DeFeo holding on just by the right rear quarter panel. And DeFeo's going to hold on side by side for the top position. Will Parrish has now joined the fight. In that third spot, Adams still going to try to make this look easy. But at the same time, DeFeo is not going to make it any easier. He's going to give Daniel Adams a run for his money. And it looks like by the tire tracks, we must have had an incident. Not sure if there's any other cars that have had damage, but we're going to stay focused on this before we do anything else. Look at this fight right here. DeFeo fires off into 3. He's going to clear the 55, at least for the time being. But Adams works his way back down to the bottom. Side by side here. DeFeo takes the top. DeFeo is going to end up leading that lap. And while all that's happening, this is opening the door for Moscow, Johnson, Gronkowski to all join the party with Will Parrish, DeFeo, and Adams. DeFeo is just going to absolutely clear the 55. And that will kick Daniel Adams back to 3rd. But hold on a second. Adams once more. He's going to try to get by the 2 of Parrish for the 2nd position. He'll make that look easy. Just retaining that 2nd position. This has allowed Moscow and Johnson to join the party, making this a 5-horse fight for the race lead. Parrish around the outside of Daniel Adams, heading back into turn number 3. So far, some pretty good racing. Then we have our battle for the 4th position. That's on between Johnson and Moscow, with Chad Gronkowski looking on in the background. Daniel Adams just absolutely wants to get back up into this race lead. Wants to do everything that it takes to get up there. Well, Michael DeFeo, a brilliant pit strategy by pitting at least a lap early. At least pitting a little bit earlier than everybody else. He managed to get his pit service done. He took over the top position. Now Will Parrish up in that 2nd spot in that number 2 car. So our top 6 have all gone single file for the moment. Then you get back over here. This is the 41 Nia Steidel, and also the 23 of Matthew Huber. Hubert's shown in 9th, but I believe Steidel is a lap down. Steidel is one of the 3 a lap down, actually. I think the reason for that was because of the skid marks that was just on the exit of the front stretch heading into turn 1. That must have been Steidel, Jones, and Terry Walker that all probably got together there coming off the pit, coming out of the pits, because usually that happens. Sometimes the cars will kind of collide into one another coming out of the pits and on the apron, because there's not a lot of room down there. So if one small mistake, that could lead to other drivers moving up or kind of going around and back up into harm's way. So definitely want to be careful when you're doing that, especially during pit stops like these, during green flag pit stops to be exact. Moscow trying to get by Daniel Adams. So far, has not been successful. Chad Gronkowski has joined the party. Enter Chad Gronkowski in the chat. Not in Twitch chat, but over here for this top position. Gonna try to get by the number 88. This would be for the 5th position, as Johnson has moved up into 4th. Gronkowski gonna just get him at the line by 2/100ths of a second. Meanwhile, we get back over here. Steidl is absolutely wanting to get her lap back. She's gonna do everything it takes to do just that, but she's got her hands full with Stephen Colon and Matthew Huber trying to get by them in order to get back on the lead lap. Here's a little bit more side-by-side action here with Ryan Durrani and Michael Young. This would be the fight for the 16th position. And it looks like Young just might get it if he can get a good run on corner exit. John Andrews, another driver who I thought, who didn't have the best start to the race. So far, moving up into the 14th position. Last time we talked about him, he was in 23rd. He's gained 9 spots since then. Currently riding behind Travis Crampton, who is also having himself a good run and needs a good run like this if he wants to move up in the point standings. John Felber, I'd say the same case for him. But if they really want to start capitalizing and start catapulting up in the standings, they're going to have to start picking up some more positions here. And they could do it during pit stops. Meanwhile, up front, we just missed a battle for the lead. Will Parrish has taken it away from Michael DeFeo. But DeFeo, here he comes. He's going to fight around the top side of Dale Johnson. Parrish moves up to cover the spot as they head back down into turn 3. And now, 3 wide here. Daniel Adams threading the needle between Gronkowski and also DeFeo. Val Moscow gonna follow right in the tire tracks of that 55. And Johnson gonna try to take over the race lead. He had it for a moment coming off of going into 1, but heading down the back straightaway, it's pretty clear to say who has the advantage. Adams tried to take that second spot from the outside, but got a little bit too high there, had to check up and lost a lot of time. Johnson trying to take that second, trying to take the race lead back. Heading through 1. Looks like he's going to get it. For the time being, obviously you wouldn't want to guarantee that because of the power that turn number 2 has on corner exit. So Parrish is going to hold on to that top position. Heading back through turn number 3. Have him in a bit of a phlegm buildup. Do apologize for that. Stephen Colon has now moved up inside of this big old horse race for the top position. It's now 8 cars. Maybe 9. Maybe 10. A 10-horse fight for the race lead. That would be pretty interesting. Plus Nia Steidl. Remember, Nia is a lap down, so she's trying to do everything she can to try to get back onto the lead lap. And she's going to make every move in the book possible to try to get back onto the lead lap and try to get back into contention, to try to move herself up through the field, and maybe be in that same spot that she's in the pack of those in this pack of cars by the time this race is said and done. Meanwhile, Johnson's still trying everything he can to get by the 2 of Will Parrish. Daniel Adams has now moved back up into 3rd. And now he's going to try to take over 2nd. He's going to try it here in a little bit. If he can maybe try to tease a move, try to pull up alongside. So far, he hasn't done that. He's going to stay glued to the back bumper of the 27, right in the tire tracks. Right in the right side tire tracks with his left sides. Heading back through 1. Top 3, all single file. There's a good chance we might have another round of green flag stops coming up here very soon, so might want to watch for that. Heading down the back straightaway, back into turn number 3. Side by side here, this would be the battle for... Looks like it's going to be for the 6th position between Cologne and Gronkowski. Actually, no. This would be for top 5. Cologne gets it. Steidl making it 3 wide as they head through turn 1. And can Cologne actually clear up in front of the 36? He does. He'll clear up and actually capitalize on completing the pass. So move Stephen Cologne up inside of the top 5. You got Dale Johnson up there on that, almost up against the wall. 4th groove, now 5th. As we are now just 5 laps away from the halfway point here in the Auto Club 400 here at the California Speedway, the Auto Club Speedway. If you're just now tuning in, we are 45 laps complete. We've not had a caution flag. Daniel Adams has led since the drop of the green flag before until our first round of green flag stops. The lead was with Michael DeFeo for a moment, and now currently it is Will Parrish who's taken over the race lead. John Andrews comes in here as the points leader, 15 points ahead of BB Hange. Right now, Hange is shown inside of the top 10, running in the 10th position right here. And John Andrews is 13th on the racetrack right now. So these two are not too far apart from one another. So that means the points lead between the both of them, the points gap, I should say, between the both of them is still going to be a pretty decent margin. But not as much as what it was before heading into today's race. Heading into turn number 3 this time around. Parrish, Johnson, everybody kind of jumbled up in this little pack, and then you have Nia Steidl in the 41 still trying to make every move in the book to get back onto the lead lap. So far, she is doing everything it takes to get there. But Matthew Hubert going to try to put a stop to that. 4 wide from that shot heading back into turn number 1. And now Steidl is in the best line possible. Corner exit proving to be the best spot for Nia Steidl and everybody else. She's trying everything she can to try to get back onto the lead lap. And so far, she's doing a very nice job picking everybody off one by one. If she were actually on the lead lap, this would be for the 2nd position. And coming up here, this would be the battle for the race lead. Down to the bottom through 1 and 2. But not going to get the run on corner exit here. Give the advantage to Will Parrish. If she can actually move up in front of the 27, she would have actually been able to get that spot back. But so far, she hasn't been able to do that. And just like that, here we go. Round 2 of green flag pit stops are officially underway. Will Parrish leads them down. Steidl follows with Daniel Adams, Cologne, Moscow. Crampton is in. Chad Gronkowski, Sebastian Palmer. Colin Block, Bryce Egan, Stapleton. Both walkers are in. Tatiana Noguera. And all these other drivers are now coming down pit road. At least it's a little bit more spread out than what it was before. Jeremiah Simpson. Way off the pace in that number 20 machine. Gonna wonder what absolutely happened there. Johnson is now gonna come down pit road. BB Haynes is gonna stay out. Gonna try to lead this lap to pick up the bonus point. So we're now officially halfway home here in the Auto Club 400. Wells is in along with Hernandez, Huber, Josh Lee, Sammy Cars, Michael Young, Alex Savatali, Mitchell O'Brien, Tyler Belladonna, our Phoenix winner. Roberto Crown Jr. is in. And Jeremiah Simpson, along with the 95 of BB Haynes. Those are going to be the last cars to come down pit road. So, this could give the lead back to the 40 of Michael DeFeo, crossing the stripe this time by. It could. Not saying it will, but it could. Johnson coming back out onto the racetrack. Followed by the number 7 of Casey Wells. And heading back through 3 and 4. We'll see what the results are as they cross the stripe. DeFeo moves back up into second. And BB Haynes has just completed his pit stop. He's down and away. So the lead will indeed go back to the number 40 of Michael DeFeo. He's got himself a pretty huge gap over Will Parrish, who will be sitting in the second position. Nia Steidel, unfortunately, has not been able to get back on the lead lap. She pitted with everybody else. Although she did get some new tires out of this. Some 4 fresh Goodyears out of this. This one, this did not help her at all when it comes down to trying to get back onto the lead lap. And look at that lead between DeFeo and Will Parrish. That's a 3-second difference between the 40 and the 2. Then another second back between Parrish and also this guy, Stephen Colon, in the 24. He's now up in 3rd. With Val Moscow in 4th. And then Chad Gronkowski completed the top 5 with Travis Crampton 6th. Dale Johnson 7th. The 55, Daniel Adams 8th. Bryce Egan showing up in the top 10 for the first time today. He's 9th. And speaking of top 10, Sebastian Palmer is going to complete the top 10 with now 53 laps complete. On the back straightaway they go once again. Heading back into turn number 3. So far, the gap between DeFeo and Parrish has shrunk by at least 0.2. It's now down to 2 3/4 of a second between the 40 and the 2. DeFeo and Parrish. With coming up to 45 laps to go this time around. And so far, and as I mentioned before, the racing that we're seeing here, honestly, is more enjoyable than what we saw at Bristol last week. If I'm being honest, because this type of racing, at least we're seeing strategy. At least we're seeing some side by side. We're not seeing yellow after yellow after yellow after yellow. Cautions are not bad. They do add a little bit more flavor into the racing. But caution after caution after caution, turning the racing into a wreck fest. That's not something that anybody should really watch, because yellow flags can get interesting until they happen time after time after time after time again, back to back on top of one another. And until that point, all you're going to see is just these drivers pacing around a short track under yellow flag conditions for the rest of the time. And that is just definitely not something that would be enjoyable for the viewer to watch. But so far, the product that we're getting here is definitely a lot better. Nothing wrong with short track racing. It's just something that I probably did with the AI difficulty, because it was either that or watch all the drivers ride around a short track all race long. It was one or the other, but I unfortunately took one and paid the price for it. The gap between DeFeo and Parrish has now grown back to a 3-second advantage. As you see, Jeremiah Simpson has gotten by the number 40 of DeFeo. Nia Steidel is now in perfect position to try to get back onto the lead lap. She's all over the back bumper of the 40 machine. Coming around to complete 58 laps, 42 laps of racing to go here at Fontana. The gap between the 40 and the 2 has remained unchanged. This last time around. But so far, as far as Stephen Colon, he could be gearing up to take over the second position. Remember, Colon started at least mid-pack towards the tail end of the field, at least almost outside of the top 30. And here we are. About almost 59 laps complete. It is now he's being shown third after all the rounds, after the last 2 rounds of green flag pit stops that we just had. And I would expect these drivers to come in right around lap 74. So this should make, and this actually should make the finish pretty interesting as well. Because after that, after they come and say the pit cycle opens up on lap 74, the final one would open up around lap 99. So that would mean we would see a lot of pit strategies start to break out. We'd see teams start to roll the dice to try to see if they can make it all the way to the end on the set of tires that they put on. Then the tank of fuel that they'd also be burning off as well. Try to save and conserve that. That should be pretty fun to watch. Should be very interesting to see if some of these drivers, after this next round of green flag stops, can make it all the way to the end. Some may try to stop early to try to top off, while others are going to try to roll the dice, and some will make it, some won't. Steidel's still trying to go on the attack on the number 40 of Michael DeFeo to try to get her lap back. So far has not really had a lot of success in doing that and trying to get her lap back. But she's trying to do everything she can, though. She's doing her best. So coming around to complete 62 laps here in the Auto Club 400. This is what our standings look like as of right now. Of course, Michael DeFeo, the race leader. Will Parrish second. Stephen Colon third. Val Moscow fourth. Chad Gronkowski completing the top 5. And we see here Travis Crampton in 6th. Then Dale Johnson the second in 7th. Daniel Adams 8th. Sebastian Palmer 9th. And Ryan Durrani currently being scored inside of the top 10. Our Clash winner. And that's the guy right there alongside him that he beat to win the Clash. So far, both of them running side by side, 9th and 10th. Give the 9th spot to the number 83 of Ryan Durrani. Or the 14 of Ryan Durrani, sorry. The 83 of Palmer is going to lose that 9th position and maybe 10th here as Casey Wells works her way up around the outside of the number 83 of Sebastian Palmer. Meanwhile, focusing back up, the lead has now shrunk to 2.5 seconds as Steidel still trying to work over. Still doing everything she can to try to work over that number 40. And right there, across the stripe, she did just get that lap back. So she is officially back on the lead lap. And I think DeFeo is realizing, you know what? What am I losing here? And what do I have to gain by just keeping this number 41 right behind me? I'm going to let her go. And it looks like despite that corner exit speed, I'd say just let her go, dude. Just let her go. There you go. So now Steidl has officially cleared Michael DeFeo across the stripe, this time by. Heading back down into turn 1. The lead has now shrunk to 2 seconds. 2.04 seconds. And now at this point, if I were Nia Steidl, I would definitely be wanting to try to formulate a pit strategy where I'd be pitting maybe just a little bit earlier than everybody else. So that way I could try to get back up and get up into contention and try to get some good points out of this. Instead of pitting at a time where I might go a lap down again. So gonna have to start thinking about this one. Gonna have to think very long and hard. This has now turned into a 3-horse fight for second. The 200 Motorsports Chevys trying to go after the lone Team Penske car up inside of the top 5. With Chad Gronkowski in tow. But so far, everybody's remained single file. Everybody's kind of just minding their own P's and Q's. The lead that Michael DeFeo has is slowly shrinking. Durrani, Casey Wells, and Dale Johnson have all managed to get by Travis Crampton, who's now been kicked back to 8th. Actually, it was just Johnson and Durrani. Now Casey Wells gets by for the 8th position, at least for the time being. Hernandez and Daniel Adams going at it. That would be the battle for the 10th position as they cross the stripe this time by. As they're getting ready to, actually. Working lap number 69. Nice. Crampton is going to sit in the 9th position, at least for the time being. And maybe try to pick up another position as they head down the back straightaway. Back into turn number 3. John Andrews getting by Daniel Adams. This would be for the 11th position. And BB Hange is being shown in the 18th position. This is if you're wanting to try to take off for the points lead, this is exactly something that you want. If you were John Andrews, right now sitting in the 12th spot, trying to get by this number 55 for the 11th position, trying to knock on the door of the top 10. And if he can actually get by the 31 of Edson Hernandez, this would be the first time that John Andrews would enter the top 10 today. But he went really wide through that corner there. But not enough to actually hinder the progress of this number 17 machine. He has absolutely been flying today. Consistently and solidly flying, I'd say. We're now down to 30 laps to go here in Fontana. So far, it's been all Michael DeFeo, but that lead between him and Will Parrish has been shrinking ever so slightly. It is now down to a second. But that lead here in just the next few laps isn't going to matter too much because we are going to have our 3rd round of green flag stops coming up here very shortly. And then that next question is going to be, can Michael DeFeo actually hold on to the race lead after this next round of green flag pit stops? He's been able to do it back on the 1st round. He was able to do it on the 2nd round. Will he be able to do it on this 3rd round? And then Will the pit strategy, once it gets down to it, will the pit strategy actually be in his favor? We'll find that out here once we get close to that time. .28 to go. This time by is now down to a half a second between the 40 and the 2. How about that, though? Michael DeFeo had about a 3-second advantage at the beginning of this green segment of the green flag run before pit strategy started to come into play. Well, at the very beginning of this segment of the green flag run, we had a 3-second advantage over Will Parrish, and now towards the end, that's been cut down to about almost a quarter of a second. So Will Parrish, I believe, had actually been saving up his stuff, and he has moved up all over the back bumper of this number 40 machine. Right there on the tailgate. And I believe at this time, there it is. I believe pit stops are indeed taking place. So Will Parrish is going to stay out. He's going to take over the race lead. And DeFeo comes down pit road. Nia Steidel in front of him. We'll head into the pits. Stephen Colon will join him. Along with Moscow, Gronkowski, Adams, Travis Crampton, Kyler Sustry, Rogel Dorn, Rampus, Young, Hamill. Both walkers are in again. Tatiana Noguera, PJ Vidal, Skylar Taylor. All in the pits right now at this time as we're closing in on 25 laps to go. Will Parrish, currently the race leader. And now Parrish is going to drop down and head into the pits. He'll be followed by Dale Johnson the second, Casey Wells, Durrani, Edson Hernandez, John Andrews, Jones, Lee. We got a few cars staying out. They'll be in next time by. BB Haynes takes over the race lead again. Felber is in with Sammy Cars, Hubert Savatali, Belladonna, Roberto Crown Jr., Mitchell O'Brien. They're all in. And these drivers are just now starting to come out of the pits. Stephen Colon manages to get out ahead of the 40. And now they're going to start fighting it out for what looks to be, might be for the race lead as BB Haynes now drops low, heads into pit road. Nathan Stapleton's going to follow with Avon Murray, Zachary Fitzwater. And here comes Derek Hamill in. I believe Derek Hamill must have had a pit road penalty. Let's follow with Hamill, see if he must have had a penalty. He did. It was definitely a stop and go penalty. Must have sped on the entrance to pit road. .23 laps to go. And it looks like the race lead is going to go back to the number 40 of Michael DeFeo. With Stephen Colon up into the second position. Moscow third. And I believe Colin Block has entered the top 5 for the first time today. Our top 10 is going to have a whole different look here. See what it's going to look like. Crossing the stripe this time by. DeFeo's going to go back into the lead. Cologne will be second. Val Moscow third. Colin Block fourth. Kyler Sustry has entered the top 5 for the first time today. Chad Gronkowski sixth. Will Parrish has been kicked back to 7th. Then 8th will be the number 83 of Sebastian Palmer, who is currently fighting Will Parrish for track position. That would be for 7th. 9th currently is Travis Crampton and Ryan Durrani completing the top 10. But he might move up into ninth, actually. Crossing the stripe this time by. He's going to take over the ninth spot. Bryce Egan on the attack. To try to get inside of the top 10. He has, actually. He just barely nicked the 22 at the line. And that was for the 10th position. .21 to go when they cross the stripe this time by. And so far, DeFeo has been absolutely dominant in this race. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually claimed those 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. But can he actually pull the trifecta? Get that bonus point for leading a lap, and get those 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. And amongst those 40 points for finishing in first, get the 10 bonus points for winning the race. That would be something if he could actually do that. 20 to go. Stephen Colon is another driver who I feel definitely is very deserving of a great run. And so far, he is showing just that. In the second position, he started this race in mid-pack, and through pit strategy, he has methodically picked his way through the field. And now he is up here in this second position in a perfect spot to win. But the only thing that these drivers are going to have to get past is pit strategy. They're going to have to start figuring this out, because now at this point, we're kind of in this land of the great unknown where we have absolutely no idea what the finish is going to have to offer. Who's going to be able to stay out? Who's going to roll the dice and stay out, actually? Take the gamble to try to see if your tank of fuel is going to last you all the way to the checkered flag. Or if you're not going to be able to make it, if you're just maybe about a lap or two short, and you might have to drop down, come to pit road, top yourself off, and get back out there to try to finish and rack up some whatever points you can before the next race. We'll be off next week, but in 2 weeks' time, we'll be back on the short track of Martinsville for race number 6 of the McDonald's Cup Series. Should be a fun one. Hopefully you guys are able to join us for that one. Should be a very fun race, to say the least. As we're closing in on 15 laps to go. Stephen Colon all over the back bumper. This number 40 of DeFeo. Heading back into turn 3. It's just been the top 2 that has checked out. But now the question is, what is Stephen Colon going to do? He is practically right there. 8/100ths of a second is the difference between the both of them. If Stephen Colon is going to try to make a move for this race lead, he's going to have to start making that move right now. And if that's the case, he should definitely make that move around the outside where all the good runs have been all day long. Got around to 16 to go this time. He's peeking the nose down low. Letting them know, hey, I'm here. I'm here. Don't forget about me, dude. I am right here. Moscow is a second back. If anything happens to between these two, he could potentially take advantage of this and try to drive away with the win. But again, that is only if something were to happen between these two. The only logical thing is both of them could potentially run out of fuel by these guys pushing as hard as they possibly are. And they could be pushing their fuel. It's very possible, but you never quite know. Heading back into turn 3. Coming out of turn number 4 this time by. 15 laps of racing to go here at the Auto Club Speedway. So glad you guys could be joining us here on this fine Saturday, or wherever you are in the world, whatever time it may be where you're at in the world. If there's anybody that missed the race or chose not to watch because of the ads, don't worry, I've got you covered, because the full race replay will be uploaded tomorrow over on the Variety channel. So that way you can see the full race uninterrupted, commercial free, and that race will be uploaded and will premiere the very next day on YouTube. So be sure to go subscribe if you want to watch the full races completely uninterrupted by ads. And once that premiere wraps up, keep an eye on the Discord for your point standings, because those will be coming up shortly after this race, which is actually going to start coming down to the wire here. We are down to 12 laps to go. Cologne has been all over the back bumper of this number 40, and he has not really made too much of a move to try to get by. But at the same time, these two could be pushing their luck here when it comes to fuel, because as I mentioned, the most logical thing that could happen at any point in time is they could run out of fuel. It's very possible that they could do just that, but we're coming around through turn number 4, 11 to go this time by. Jeremiah Simpson and Nia Steidl. Remember, both of those cars are on the tail end of the lead lap, so they're going to be going at it for position. At the same time that Cologne... Oh, he's teasing. He's teasing. Just teasing Michael DeFeo to try to... with the move down to the inside. Just peeking the nose down low. But there you see it, right there. They're both tailing of the lead lap, 41 and 20. Surprised that they're still going at it. But you see Cologne also went really wide through turns 3 and 4, so he's going to lose a lot of time here. Now that lead has grown back to about a quarter of a second with 10 laps of racing to go here at the Auto Club Speedway for the Auto Club 400. Race number 5 on the McDonald's Cup circuit. Now we're kind of in that window where we have absolutely no idea what's going to be happening. Cologne to the inside. He's going to try it. He's going to try it. They're side by side for the race lead. But they'll give that advantage to Michael DeFeo. He used that run on corner exit to his advantage. Heading back through turns 1 and 2. Cologne, unfortunately, was not able to get the nose to the inside of the 40. So now he'll have to fall back in line, but he's lost a lot of ground to Michael DeFeo. Looks like this is going to be either a quarter of a second or maybe at least a third. It's looking more like a quarter. They cross the stripe this time by. That is nearly a quarter of a second between the both of them, heading back into 1. Moscow is a second and a half back. Colin Block 2.2 back. And then Gronkowski, who completes the top 5, he's 2.4 back. That is the difference between DeFeo and all these other cars. They're side by side in front of the 40 and the 24. Steidl and Simpson are with 7 to go. Meanwhile, back over here, look at this. 3 wide. Gronkowski getting by Kyler Sustry and also the 98 of Colin Block. Will Parrish has entered the picture. This is all for the fight for 4th place. which looks like Colin Block is going to try to get it back. They are 3 wide back over here. Really great racing right here. Val Moscow's also checked out from that. We look even further back over here. There's a big old hornet's nest over here. Looks like all these other cars are trying to save up their tires, save up their gas, and they're all doing it at the exact same time. 6 to go. When you look back over here, these two are absolutely giving it their all. They're pushing the limit. There is actually a pretty good chance they might have to come down pit road, and if that's the case, that's game over for DeFeo and Cologne. But with how far out they are, and with as much as they're giving out on the racetrack, fighting for this lead and for this win, it's very possible. Cologne peeking the nose to the inside. One singular hand of 5 fingers in the air. 5 laps to go here in Fontana. Cologne tried it down the front straightaway. Didn't have a good enough draft. He tucks right back in behind the 40 as they head down the back straightaway back into turn number 3 this time around. DeFeo peeks the nose. He tried it. Couldn't quite start the move. He's going to try it again as they come down the front straightaway. Still not able to complete at least start the move. They are still absolutely going ham over here. Sustry looks like is going to lose the 7th position, maybe 8th, to Durrani and Johnson. John Andrews looks like is also going to have himself a really good points day. He just may extend his points lead over the 95 of BB Haynes, who's currently sitting 21st right now. 3 to go. This is going to get interesting. Who's going to take the gamble? Who's going to gamble? Who's going to roll the dice and try to make sure that they can make it on that tank of fuel that they've got? Who's not going to be able to make it? Who's going to have to come down pit road, top themselves off, and come back out to get the points that they need? We're going to have to find that out. So they work their way through turns 3 and 4. 2 fingers in the air. 2 laps to go this time by. Looks like Colin Block's making the move down pit road. He's not able to make it. He's not able to make it to the checkered flag. But 2 laps of racing to go here in Fontana. It has been absolutely caution-free. But aside from that, had some good racing, some great action, and we're going to see more of that here with this pit strategy. As we're coming around through turns 3 and 4 this time, we'll be looking at the white flag. 1 lap to go. Here in California, Seidel pulls off. She's not able to make it. White flag, 1 lap to go. The race is on between Cologne and DeFeo. Heading back into turn 1. Cologne stays glued to the back bumper of the 40 of DeFeo. They work their way down the back straightaway one last time. So far, the fuel is holding up. They work their way through turns 3 and 4. Cologne goes high. But it's going to be too little too late. Michael DeFeo. The strategy plays correctly in his favor, and Michael DeFeo is going to take the checkered flag and win the Auto Club 400 here in Fontana. 5 races, 5 different winners. Michael DeFeo is going to get it done. The pit strategy definitely fell right into his hands. He's been nailing it. Absolutely nailed every single round of green flag pit stops. And he gets it. He will win here in California. Stephen Colon, oh so close. He'll have to finish in the second position. Will Parrish coming home in third. So a great rebound for him. Ryan Durrani, great points day for him. He's going to finish in fourth. Chad Gronkowski, he's going to get the points that he needs. He'll complete the top 5. Then Dale Johnson, 6th. 7th will belong to... Val Mosco will complete the top 5. Then Chad Gronkowski. Either way, 5th or 6th. Great points day for him. Then Dale Johnson will come home in 7th. John Andrews, good chance he'll extend his points lead by just a little bit over BB Hange. He'll finish 8th. The 9th will be Kyler Sustry, and Edson Hernandez will complete your top 10. Take a look at the rest of your results right here. Great points day for Daniel Adams, finishing in 18th. Definitely not the end result that he was wanting, but still, nonetheless, led some good laps. Ended up getting the bonus point for leading a lap. So finishing 18th. After all that, not too bad. BB Hange will finish 19th. So at least at this point, so that points gap might potentially grow. It might shrink, maybe just a tiny bit, but still not enough for BB Hange to try to close back in on that points gap. But we'll definitely have to wait and see what the results are going to look like once we go to Martinsville in 2 weeks' time. As you see the rest of your results right there from 29th through 42nd. Only 5 cars finished a lap down or more. That would be Matt Jones, Derek Hamill, Damian Kyle Wood, Nia Steidel, and Terry Walker, who unfortunately finished dead last in this race, 1 lap down. But that's going to do it for our action here at the Fontana Speedway for race number 5 of the NRLOA McDonald's Cup Series. Congratulations to Michael DeFeo on nabbing his first career NRLOA McDonald's Cup Series win in the first of the season. 5 races, 5 different winners. So definitely some good action here from Fontana. It was caution-free, don't get me wrong, it was caution-free, so not as much flavor to this race, but the spice for sure was all the action that we saw on track. Especially, even if it was for last place. Even though we didn't focus on last place, we still saw a lot of good action all around the racetrack. And definitely some good stuff. But in 2 weeks' time, we'll be heading to Martinsville for race number 6 of the NRLOA McDonald's Cup Series. Should be a very fun one. The schedule should also be in the NRLOA Discord. And as far as the points, keep an eye on that as well. Those points will be coming very soon. And with that said, one more time, congratulations to Michael DeFeo on nabbing his first win of the year. And as always, guys, take care, everybody. We'll see you over in Martinsville.